Okay, as a little boy growing up, I remember going to my parents' bait and tackle shop and inside the marina and going fishing all the time. That was one of our pastimes that my brother and I did during the summer. We would go fishing off the docks in the marina, and we would also get all the fishing reports from the local fishermen. They would come in, buy bait and tackle from my dad's store, and we would talk about what the fishing report was, what colors of lures they were using, what type of spinner baits they were using, just fishing stories. So it was really cool to grow up on the marina and learn all about fishing. So I've been fishing my entire life. So just remember, if you're ever to go into a restaurant and you say you go on a Friday night because you love your perch and walleye dinner, and you go to order your walleye dinner, and there's no more walleye. The lady says, you can't have any walleye, there's no more out in the lake. And you say, well, what do you mean? And the lady says, well, the invasive species of the Great Lakes that came over, and now there's no more walleye perch left. So I'm going to talk about the invasive species and how they are threatening our Great Lakes. There's a bunch of invasive species out there. So I'm just going to touch on a couple of them because we only have a few minutes to talk. One of them would be the round goby. I've got a picture here of the round goby. It's kind of small. It's a little fish. It's about a size 4 or 5 inches long. And this fish came over from Asia in a cargo ship, in the ballast of the cargo ship. So if you're wondering what a ballast is of a ship, well, when the big giant cargo ships load up their freight, they have to pump water in the bottom of the ship in order to keep the ship from being level. So what happens is as they're loading up, they have to take on water, so make sure they're level. And then when they come across the seas and come over to the United States, as they unload the cargo, they have to pump all the water out. Yep. So what happens is as they're sucking in all the water, they suck up these little gobies, and they're small, and then they get transported to the United States, and then they get pumped out. And that's how the gobies came about in the United States. Lake St. Clair, 1990 was the first sighting of the goby. And one of the reasons that these gobies are invasive to our native area is they eat the eggs of the fish. And, they're very aggressive. They have a very aggressive attitude. And they also scare off other fish with their attitude. When they go to spawn, fish like to go to certain areas and spawn, and these gobies are there scaring off our native fish and not being able to spawn right away. So that's a pretty bad deterrent against our native fish. There's a couple ways that we're trying to take care of the issue. One is using electrical fences across rivers and streams to block them. You put in an electrical fence and then it deters them from going up the river. And also they're using pesticides too. Pesticides I'm not too fond of, but so also another thing is when you're going fishing, like I said, they're smaller size fish and you get mixed in with the bait. So if you're going fishing and you don't use all your bait, make sure you dump it back into the same lake. Don't transport it over to another lake. That way it can spread around. Or the best thing to do is take your unused bait and throw it in the trash. That way there's no spread of the disease. So a little bit there. And also I'd like to talk about the zebra mussels. Everybody's probably familiar with the word zebra mussel. Again, they came over from Europe also on a cargo ship the same way. They got sucked in their ballast and they made their way all across the United States and then they got pumped in when they were unloading the ships. Again, Lake St. Clair in 1988, this is when the first spotting was. Now one bad thing about the zebra mussels is they are a filter feeding mussel. That means they suck in water and they take all the algae out and that's how they eat. They suck in the water and they do about a liter a day. So they're always looking for a good current to help filter that water through them. So what happens is they go to these inlets or intakes where factories need water and they reach on to the intake and eventually more and more come about and then they clog up the intake. stop zebra mussels from attaching to their intakes. Also, there is no stopping the zebra mussels in the United States or in the Great Lakes. It's too far spread. The only way that you can try to stop it is don't let them go from lake to lake. So if you take them out of the water, scrape all the zebra mussels off. The zebra mussels can last 3 or 4 days out of the water if the temperature is right. And then once you go into another boat or into another lake, that's when they can spread again. So those are another things that you want to watch out for zebra mussels. They've said that it's cost at least $200 million a year in financial ruin. Like I said, back pretty big. So, with that said, I'd like to conclude with as a reminder that if you like perch and you like walleye and you go out to the restaurant and you can't get the walleye, it's because invasive species are in the lake. So, with all the stuff that I also said, just try to keep an eye on the invasive species and do the best you can to stop them. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions?
No, 6 minutes, 33 seconds.